So to paint text using ZeroBrush 1.5, first we'll need some text. So I'm going to press X to delete that cube, press Shift A and add text. Then I'm going to press 1 to go into front view and double tap space to bring up my operator tools and select Align to View. Now the double tap space for the operator tools is something new for Sensei Format 2015, which at the time of this video is not released yet, but you can get to those tools if you press your T for your toolbar, and down here there's a little plus tab, and you can have access to those tools here as well. Now I just pressed S to scale that text, but had I not done that, whatever tool you recently used, you can change its settings right here. Let's hit G to grab, move it over, S to scale a little bit more. And over here in our object properties, which in Sensei Format, whatever object you're selected, its object properties will always show up here, but that's also located in your properties panel. For the text, it looks like an F. For different types of objects, it'll look like a different thing. You would select that there. We can change our font here if we click this little folder icon, and I have the location defaulted to where I keep all of my fonts on my computer, and I'll select this one here, and I've changed my font. So to get that to where that will show up there, what you can do is go to User Preferences, and under File of the User Preferences you can set up a lot of default locations where you want stuff to be when you go to get different settings like that, such as the fonts here. And on a Windows machine, Windows 7 at least, most of the time your fonts will be stored here, C, Windows, Fonts, just that easy. But if not, you can select here and browse through your computer to find where your fonts are, and then you would just want to select Save User Settings. And then the next time you clicked on here, you could be able to select from your list of fonts, which would be good. So we can make the text 3D under Geometry by pressing Extrude. And then we can change the depth here, which is basically the perimeter of the bevel around each letter. And then the resolution is basically how many times the text will be beveled. Alright, so that looks okay. Maybe I'll increase the kerning of this text here. So under paragraph, where it says letter, you can increase and decrease the space there. So I would like to have a little bit of space between that text, so that's good. I'll click my full screen button here. Now that we've got our text, to paint it, all we need to do is, like any other object in Blender, press our texture paint button when using ZeroBrush 1.5, and immediately we can just start drawing on it. It's that easy. So I'm going to click on my brush here, and I'm going to select metal scratched texture I have here. I'm going to press X to increase it, and then I'm going to turn off the strength, increase the hardness, and also select my paint through button so I can paint through this. And I don't really like how dingy this looks, so what I'm going to do is press my brush options button here, and I'm going to decrease the saturation. So that already I start liking the way that looks by comparison there. And I'm also going to decrease the contrast and maybe increase the brightness once. And that's looking more like I like it. I think I'll split the difference on that brightness. Instead of 1.1, I'll change that to 1.05. And that's pretty good. Alright, so I'll close that up. And I'll just go along this text and throw down a base layer here. So the next thing you want to do is turn off your paint through button and decrease your hardness, decrease the size of your brush, and kind of go through and find areas that need touching up, and we'll just touch them up. Okay, and just like any other object, we can go into cycles by pressing the cycles button. And I'm going to press my object mode button and press Shift A and add a plane here, press S to scale, just so I have a bit of a bottom, and I'll just bring that up just a little bit. Click back on my text, press my texture paint button, and turn on my quick lights. I'll press Control B to set up a render preview border. and then press my render preview button. And there's my text, but I think I would like to jazz this up a little bit, so I'll press my render preview button, turn that off. I'm going to try to make this look like metal, so I'm going to increase the reflectivity very high, the roughness very low, and let's see how that looks. Looks a little dark, and I think I'd like to get some of those scratches coming out of that metal, so we'll press the render preview button off, and we'll increase the bump to 0.15, and maybe increase the brightness to just a hair, and maybe increase the roughness just a little bit of that shine, and then press our render preview button. Now I think what this is actually missing is a little bit of contrast, so I'm going to turn my render preview off, increase the contrast a few, and let's take this bump from 0.15 to negative 0.15 so that the bump affects inversely, so our scratches indent instead of sticking out. So in a number of minutes, we've got a really amazing looking scratched metal text here in Blender thanks to ZeroBrush. So thanks for watching and make some cool stuff.